You're not gonna make it. No, you ain't gonna make it. You're not gonna make it, but you can. Welcome to You're Not Gonna Make It, the show where I discuss threats that may prevent you from making it. I'm Kevin. Guys, I don't know if college is good for you. You get sleep deprived, you work in a weird way, you get into massive debt. There's this weird social hierarchy shit going on, probably. I don't know, I was a commuter, so I didn't deal with any of that shit. When you're a commuter, you're basically an immigrant that nobody wants. They don't tell you about anything, you're not invited to anything. I had to find out the gym was closed as I got onto campus. That's cool. But I will say, if you're trying to be maybe an engineer, a doctor, something STEM-based, college can be pretty helpful. You get into a lot of debt, but you will eventually make a lot of money. But for everyone else, is it even worth it? I think the worst parts of college are probably the way that you have to sleep and the way that you have to work. Now, I might be biased because my major involved a lot of reading and writing, but it felt to me that most professors assumed you only had their class. As in, when they assigned you reading, they assigned you assignments, it wouldn't take into account any other class. They're thinking, nah, you just have me. I can give you all this shit. You can use all your time for it. It's all good. But when all the classes do this, it feels ridiculous. After getting assigned 2 essays that are due next week, having that third one is a big bummer. I'll be real. And this caused people to get addicted to shit. I had a lot of classmates who were addicted to caffeine, use Adderall a lot. I didn't find this out till my senior year, when everyone was doing essays and we had like a 10-page essay, 15-page essay due the next day. They said, yeah, I got like 2 pages in. I'm like, you're fucked. You're done. And then the next day they hand it in. I'm like, what? How did that happen? Turns out Adderall is how that happened. So they can just work through it, work through the night, no sleep, all work. They do it. Now, I won't say I didn't stay up till 2 a.m. sometimes, writing some stuff the night before. But that wasn't a common occurrence for me, and I didn't have caffeine or Adderall. I would have felt like that was cheating. So I just suffered through it. But I can't say it was healthy. And the scheduling for college is just fucking odd. Sometimes you have a class at 8 a.m., sometimes 6:30 p.m., and not even the whole day is full. You have all these gaps in the day, and it's tempting, if you live on campus, I assume, to go take a nap and mess up your sleep cycle even more. It's just odd. And maybe it's worse if you commute like I did. You have to get onto campus, and then you could go home. If you live close like I did, you could just go home midday if you want to. But if you didn't, you had to go to campus, stay there all day. You have a class at 8 in the morning, you have another one at 4 p.m. Oh, I guess that's how your day is going to go. And what might be even worse is you get all these 2-hour gaps. So you can't even go home really, but you can't do anything super productive either in 2 hours. You use one of those gaps to go to the gym, the other gap to eat and write homework maybe. But yeah, it's just not ideal. The setup, the scheduling setup is just, it's not efficient at all. And that part is not really due to the students. It's just how it is. Sometimes you have a class once a week, sometimes twice a week, sometimes 3. Sometimes the time of the class can change in the same week. Sometimes you end up at class and you see a note on the door saying, sorry, no class today. So you woke up early for no reason. Now, these days, I think you get an email about that. Back in my day, about 11 years ago, or Jesus Christ, 15, 11 years ago, you often find a note on the door there. Sure, you get an email sometimes, but mostly it was you found out when you got there. Very cool. Now, if I want to complain about commuting so much, why did I do that? It's because of the next major issue with college life. It's the debt. The fucking debt. When I went to college, I think the tuition was about $26,000 for the year. By the time I left, it was about 31, 32,000. So it rose quite a bit while I was there. Now, let me check actually. All right, I just found out. Mamma mia, it's 48,000 per year. That's about double from when I went. That's cool. And that's not even counting if you want a dorm. Now, I didn't dorm because it would have cost an extra, I think, 10,000. And when I lived about a half-hour bus ride away, that would be fucking stupid. So I didn't do that. Now, luckily, I'm a minority, so I was able to get some extra money to help out. Hey, I don't like that affirmative action shit, honestly, but when it benefits me, you know what? Shit, if I have the option of not taking it, suffering, and just taking it, then I'll just take it for this, because I'm not getting into debt for this. And luckily, my parents were divorced. I say luckily not because it was cool, but because that also got me some extra money, some help government-wise. So luckily, anyway, I didn't have that much debt when I left college, but a lot of my peers did. When I heard some of the numbers from some people I know who went to other colleges, I'm like, I'm sorry. It's really insane. The student loans are just absolutely horrible. And you can't get rid of that through bankruptcy like you can many other debts. I don't know, why is education tied to the biggest and hardest to get rid of debt? Why is that? That's weird. It's like they want to punish you for trying to become smarter. Interesting. But many people take that debt on and it haunts them for a long time. I'm in my 30s and most people I know who went to college, they're still paying off debt in one form or another. That's pretty wild when you think about it. You enter college when you're close to 20 and then you still have to pay it off at about double that age. You gotta wait till you're 50 years old to be free, if you're lucky. I wish I could talk more about the social issues that people on college deal with, but I don't drink, and I wasn't really on campus besides classes or to go to the gym because I was a commuter and I wasn't trying to spend the whole day at school. So I don't know. I think they had some kind of fraternities. They had a lot of study groups, but often they would choose times that would require me to stay on campus like an extra 2.5 hours. And I'm like, no, I'd rather go home. I'd be done studying by then. So it's not that I didn't want to make more friends than I did or spend more time being social. It's tough when you're a commuter. You have to pay with time, more time. So I was immune to a lot of the social bullshit. I would overhear a lot of gossip, and it sounded like I didn't want to part in that to begin with, to be honest with you. So maybe that was a blessing in disguise. I don't know. But if you do want to indulge in the socialness of college, I would recommend it. Although it is challenging to balance that with your schoolwork and your fitness, if you want to use the college facilities and extracurricular stuff and internship and working, maybe it's hard to balance that out. But I will say, could be worth it, because honestly, in real life, people, when I was younger, people would say, it's not about what you know, it's who you know. Ain't that the fucking truth? There's some situations where you have knowledge, people love that, you're good, right? That's how I got most of my jobs. But man, if you know someone, even if you're not the best, if that person who knows you likes you, you got the job. That's how it works. And not even necessarily in an extremely nepotism based way. It's more, I got two guys that can both do the job, but I know this guy like this guy. Yeah, he'll be the one, right? It's just a matter of that. People, they trust and like the same people. So if you make a lot of friends, maybe they have some friends, maybe they got rich parents, I don't know, can help out. If you are in college already, you should try to be social. Don't be a weirdo about it. Just try to make friends. You never know how your life can change in that way. But as I said, it's a balancing act. And honestly, if you're in college, I would try very hard to get an internship or try to get hired before you graduate. Because here's what happened to me. After I graduated, stupidly, I was like, let me enjoy the summer. I went through 4 years of this shit, writing 50 million essays. I want to chill out. And then I started applying for jobs come fall in September. And everyone was like, this looks good, but we kind of want someone with more recent experience. And I'm thinking, oh, fuck. I may have just fucked myself by taking time off after working very hard. And because of all those opportunities who turned me down because of the lack of recent experience, my work gap became very big and that problem became worse and worse. So I just had to get a job that had nothing to do with my degree. And then later that shifted to me getting a job in something I was self-taught in, like fitness and IT and stuff like that. So that worked out, but it's wild. It is wild. You have to work your ass off, balance school, social life, maybe an internship. And then before you graduate, you better get hired. Otherwise, it might be rough. Don't you dare take a fucking break after you graduate college. That's unless you have a job lined up for you or something, right? But if not, apply immediately. You're going to get fucked. If not, take my word for it. It's probably even worse now because the population has increased in the last decade or so. You have more competition. Buck up or knuck up, whatever. Now I'm going to give you some dubiously accurate stats here. And this one, I believe 70% of college students do not get enough sleep. I know that for a fucking fact. I was one of them. I would see it a lot. People they'd wake up right before class started. They would tell me, hey, I got like 3 hours of sleep. And college kids are really, maybe not these days, I don't know. But they were really prone to the, I got less sleep than you did game. I don't know why they like playing that, but yeah. A lot of them won. 35% of students pull all-nighters at least once a month. I definitely believe that. Might be even a bit more common than that. I think this stat is wildly out of date, or maybe the law of averages pushes it to this level, but it says the average student loan debt is $32,000 upon graduation. I think it's higher. Now, if you take into account a lot of colleges much cheaper in certain parts of the US, maybe it comes out to about that, but I don't know. I don't know. Feel like it's more now. You can let me know in the comments, but I don't know. 45% of college students report feeling overwhelmed by their workload, and that's probably due to what I said earlier about every professor treating their class as the only class you have. 30% of students report feeling lonely or isolated. These are all probably commuters. Or I've seen in the cafeteria or whatever, I've seen people just sitting alone because you had all these friends in high school. Probably you leave them all, you go to this new place where not only a bunch of other people are new there, but they're from different parts of the country, maybe different parts of the world. It's probably really overwhelming for a lot of people. That's why oftentimes you see the same group of friends. The freshmen in college, they group together and they just stay together as long as they can. Because if you don't have friends in college, then it's probably really rough. So how do you survive college? First of all, here's my recommendation. Decide if you need to go. If it's STEM related, you'd probably benefit. And by STEM, science, technology, medicine, stuff like that. Science, basically. Science and math. You'd probably benefit. That knowledge is good there. But if it's something else, I don't know. It might be best to try really hard to get that job right out of high school or something, or try to meet people or something. I don't know. The issue is most jobs these days, they require a diploma. Whether it's relevant or not, they require a diploma because they think, oh, wow, this person could follow orders for 4 years at least. But I'm talking strictly in a debt capacity. For STEM, you'd probably benefit long term. Anything else, I don't know if it's worth it financially. I don't know. I say this as an English major, so I know from experience. So decide if you want to go, first of all. If you do, try your best to get some kind of sleep schedule, at least for the semester. Figure out where your classes are. Try to pick a sleep schedule that works with every single day of classes that you have. If you're a drunk, you drink a lot, you like to be social at night or whatever, this might not work for you, but you got to make your choices. For essays, I have some recommendations. Some of my tactics that would often work. In college, when I had to write an essay, if it were assigned early enough, what I would do is write at least 1 page per day. So if the essay were due, let's say it's a 10-page essay due in 2 weeks, I would time it out so that at the very least, 10 days beforehand, I got to be writing at least a page a day. That made it more sustainable for me to keep that habit because it was fairly gradual. It was manageable. Now, when you're actually writing the essay, that's the tough part. You gotta cite all these sources, all this shit. What I would do, because it was boring as shit oftentimes, I'd have my laptop, I had my essay in front of me, and on the side, I would have my PS3 controller. So what I would do is I'd play a fighting game. I remember at the time I was playing Injustice for a lot of my essays. So what I would do is I play a match. If I got knocked out or what, mostly fighting games is like 2 rounds and the match is over, right? So at the end of each round, pause, write at least a sentence. If I could, maybe a paragraph, then continue. Play another round when the whole match is over, stop, write a whole paragraph at least, then continue. I'd basically go back between writing sentences of paragraphs and fighting virtually. Now, this is obviously dangerous in a way because you could just say, wow, this is playing is more fun. I'm going to do more of this. Let me just play like 10 matches first. You got to be careful with this, but in terms of giving yourself a pretty short reward to keep you going if you need it, this will be helpful. Because most fighting games, each match, they have a timer. Usually it's 60 seconds, maybe 90 seconds. So there's no way you'll go more than 2 minutes without writing something. And I would also recommend, if you can, do check out some study groups. There's some smart fuckers in college. So take advantage of their presence. Honestly, just working near or with a very smart student, they'll rub off on you a bit. You will become smarter. You'll see their habits. You'll see the way they think. You'll be inspired, influenced by their ideas. So do that. Try to glom on to the smart kids if you can. Not if they're like really fucking weird. If you get the vibe that they're going to shoot up the school next week, don't do that. Or actually, maybe you should. You should be friends with them so they can not shoot you. But in general, in college, if you are smarter, that is seen as cooler, I think these days anyway. So try to stick with them if you can. It'll help you out in many ways. Another tip, seek financial aid. Get those grants, apply for that. Do whatever the hell you can to not stay in debt for 20 years after you graduate. Get those scholarships, do work study. A lot of work study is pretty easy. I did one where I would just walk a few blocks over to a middle school, high school, and I would just be the assistant of the college advisor. I wouldn't do much. I would file some shit away sometimes. And it was an easy way to make some money and take some of the debt away. But probably the biggest advice besides deciding if you even need college or not is your first year, really pay attention to what you like, what you don't like, and then adjust from there. Because before you get into college, you don't know. Some people do know what they like, but you don't know what you can tolerate, what you end up hating. For me, I thought I was going to go into computer science because I wanted to develop video games. And then I learned that calculus fucking sucks and I don't like math anymore. So I'm like, you know what? Maybe no. Really pay attention that first year. Be mindful of what you actually like, what you dislike, blah, blah, blah. Don't just sit through it, coast through it. Pay attention. What about this do you not like? What about this do you like? Ask your professor, hey, what do people who major in this end up doing sometimes? Be really inquisitive the first year. You're there to learn. Take some fucking initiative. That way you can waste or not waste a lot of money later or time. But yeah, college is really expensive. So just think hard about it. It's tough out there. I'm actually really curious. If you're listening to this, comment. What's your student debt like? I'm curious. Or if you haven't been to college in 10 years, like how much has your student debt increased? I'm actually curious about that. Mine's almost doubled. That's cool. I imagine that's the same for everyone else, unfortunately. All right. See you next time.